Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they quit too soon and expect life to reward impatience. We live in a world obsessed with speed, instant results, and overnight success, yet the greatest achievements in history were built slowly, quietly, and consistently. The truth is, life does not respond to intensity once in a while. It responds to discipline practiced every day. What you do repeatedly matters far more than what you do occasionally. If you've ever worked hard and wondered why nothing seemed to change, this message is for you. Progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. The gap between effort and reward is where most people turn back. But those who understand the power of consistency and patience never quit in the waiting season. They keep showing up, they keep believing, and eventually, life has no choice but to respond. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, opportunity, or effort. They fail because they never clearly decide what they want. The human mind cannot pursue what it does not define. When your goals are unclear, your actions become scattered. Your energy leaks in every direction, and life slowly turns into reaction instead of intention. Clarity is not a luxury. It is a requirement for meaningful progress. Until a person becomes clear, life feels busy but unproductive, active but unrewarding. Clarity begins with decision. Not a wish, not a hope, not a someday plan, but a firm decision. A decision says, this is what I want, and I am willing to organize my life around it. Most people keep their options open because they are afraid of commitment. But options dilute power. Decision concentrates it. The moment you decide clearly, your mind starts working differently. You begin to notice opportunities that were always there but invisible before. Focus sharpens, distractions lose their grip, and effort finally has direction. When goals are vague, discipline becomes difficult. It's hard to stay consistent when you don't know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. Clarity gives meaning to effort. It answers the question, why should I keep going when it gets hard? Without that answer, motivation collapses under pressure. With it, persistence becomes natural. Clear goals create emotional fuel. They turn ordinary days into purposeful steps instead of repetitive routines. Clarity also forces honesty. When you define exactly what you want, you also confront the gap between where you are and where you want to be. This can be uncomfortable, which is why many people avoid it. It's easier to stay unclear than to face the work required. But growth never begins in comfort. Clarity exposes weaknesses, but it also reveals the path forward. You cannot fix what you refuse to name. Another powerful effect of clarity is better decision-making. When you know your destination, you stop saying yes to everything. You begin to filter choices through a simple question. Does this move me closer or farther from what I want? Time becomes more valuable. Energy becomes more protected. You stop being busy and start being effective. Clear people are not necessarily more talented, they are more selective. Clarity builds confidence. Confusion creates doubt, hesitation, and second guessing. Clarity creates inner stability. When you know what you want, other people's opinions lose control over you. You are no longer pulled in every direction by trends, criticism, or comparison. You develop an internal compass. Confidence is not loud, it is quiet certainty, and that certainty is born from clarity. Writing goals down is not a motivational exercise. It is a strategic one. Written goals turn thoughts into commitments. They move ideas from imagination into reality. When goals stay in your head, they remain flexible and optional. When they are written, they become real and measurable. Life responds to what you take seriously, and writing things down is a signal of seriousness. Clarity also improves patience. When you know where you're going, you don't panic during delays. You understand that progress is a process. Without clarity, delays feel like failure. With clarity, they feel like part of the journey. You stay calm, steady, and focused because you trust the direction you've chosen. Life rewards clarity because clarity creates alignment. When thoughts, actions, habits, and priorities all point in the same direction, progress becomes inevitable. The world does not move out of the way for the confused, but it opens doors for the focused. Decide clearly, and the path begins to reveal itself, step by step. Most people live as if their life is happening to them, rather than being shaped by them. They wait for circumstances to improve, for people to change, or for luck to finally show up. In doing so, they quietly give away the most powerful position a human being can hold: responsibility. The moment you avoid responsibility, you also avoid control. But the moment you accept responsibility, your life stops drifting and starts moving with direction. Personal responsibility begins with a simple but uncomfortable truth. Where you are today is largely the result of past choices. This idea is difficult because it removes excuses. It means that blaming the economy, family, education, or bad timing no longer provides comfort. Yet this truth is not meant to punish. It is meant to empower. If your choices created your present, then new choices can create a different future. Responsibility does not limit you, it liberates you. Many people misunderstand responsibility as self-blame. That misunderstanding keeps them stuck. Responsibility is not about criticizing yourself for mistakes, it is about learning from them. Mistakes are not proof of failure, they are feedback. When you take responsibility, you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I do differently next time?" That shift alone changes everything. Growth begins the moment you replace complaint with curiosity. When you avoid responsibility, you also delay progress. As long as the problem is outside of you, the solution must also come from outside of you. That creates waiting. Waiting for help, waiting for permission, waiting for the perfect moment. Responsible people do not wait. They act. They understand that progress is not about having perfect conditions. It's about making the best use of the conditions you have. Action, even imperfect action, builds momentum. Taking responsibility also strengthens character. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, respect grows. Each time you follow through instead of making excuses, confidence increases. Confidence is not built by positive thinking. It is built by consistent follow-through. Over time, responsible behavior becomes identity. You no longer try to be reliable, you simply are. And people trust those who are reliable, which opens doors that talent alone never could. Responsibility changes how you respond to difficulty. Life is guaranteed to bring challenges, but it does not decide your response. You do. Responsible people do not ask for fewer problems, they develop greater skills. They understand that strength is built through resistance, not comfort. Every challenge becomes a training ground rather than a stopping point. This mindset turns obstacles into assets. Another powerful effect of responsibility is emotional maturity. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond intelligently. You stop letting moods dictate behavior. You act based on values, not feelings. This emotional control is rare, and rarity creates value. Employers, partners, and opportunities gravitate toward those who can remain steady under pressure. When you accept responsibility, you also stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is a distraction from progress. Responsible people measure themselves against their own potential, not someone else's highlight reel. They ask, "Am I better today than I was yesterday?" That question produces growth, while comparison produces frustration. Life always rewards responsibility because responsibility produces reliability, consistency, and trust. Trust leads to opportunity. Opportunity leads to growth. Growth leads to results. When you fully accept that your life improves, only when you improve, you stop hoping for change and start becoming the cause of it. Most people underestimate the power of small daily actions because they are too ordinary to feel important. They believe success should arrive through a dramatic breakthrough, a sudden opportunity, or a single life-changing moment. But life rarely works that way. It works quietly, steadily, and predictably. Discipline is the invisible force that turns ordinary days into extraordinary outcomes. Without discipline, desire fades. With discipline, even average ability produces uncommon results. Discipline begins with doing what needs to be done regardless of mood. Motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls with emotions, energy, and circumstances. Discipline does not depend on how you feel. It depends on a decision you made in advance. When you decide ahead of time what you will do, feelings lose their power to control your behavior. This is where most people struggle. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they wait to feel like doing it. Small disciplines practiced consistently shape identity. Reading a few pages daily, exercising for 20 minutes, planning the day before it begins, saving a small amount of money. None of these actions seem powerful on their own. But repeated over time, they compound into confidence, strength, and control. Discipline works like interest. It grows slowly at first, almost invisibly, and then suddenly the results become undeniable. The absence of discipline carries a price as well, though it often goes unnoticed at first. Skipping small responsibilities feels harmless in the moment. Procrastination feels comfortable. Neglect feels easy. But what feels easy now becomes heavy later. Poor health, financial stress, missed opportunities. and regret are rarely the result of one major mistake. They are the result of many small, undisciplined choices made consistently. Discipline creates self-respect. Each time you do what you said you would do, your trust in yourself increases. This inner trust is the foundation of confidence. Confidence does not come from praise or external validation. It comes from knowing that you can rely on yourself. When you cannot trust your own word, everything feels unstable. When you can, life becomes grounded and calm. Another powerful benefit of discipline is momentum. Once disciplined action becomes a habit, effort decreases. What once required willpower becomes routine. You no longer debate whether to act. You simply act. This frees mental energy for creativity, problem solving, and growth. Discipline reduces decision fatigue, because the decision has already been made. Discipline also sharpens focus. When you commit to daily structure, distractions lose their appeal. You stop drifting from task to task. You learn to value time, because discipline makes you aware of how limited it is. Instead of reacting to life, you begin directing it. Directed energy always outperforms scattered effort. People often confuse discipline with restriction, but discipline actually creates freedom. Financial discipline creates freedom from debt and stress. Physical discipline creates freedom of movement and energy. Mental discipline creates freedom from anxiety and self-doubt. The more disciplined you become, the more choices life offers you. Undisciplined living narrows options. Disciplined living expands them. Discipline also prepares you for opportunity. Opportunity rarely announces itself or waits for readiness. It shows up suddenly and rewards those who are prepared. Skills built through daily discipline are what allow you to say yes when the moment arrives. Without preparation, opportunity becomes pressure. With preparation, it becomes progress. Life always honors discipline because discipline demonstrates respect for time, effort, and potential. When you commit to small daily actions, you are choosing long-term reward over short-term comfort. That choice, repeated consistently, quietly builds a life of strength, stability, and success. Every person lives according to a set of beliefs about how life works, whether they are aware of them or not. These beliefs form a personal philosophy, and that philosophy quietly governs decisions, reactions, expectations, and standards. Long before results show up in reality, they are shaped in the mind. If the philosophy is weak, the results will be weak. If the philosophy is strong, the results will eventually reflect that strength. Many people struggle not because they lack ability, but because their philosophy limits them. A poor philosophy says, "This is just how I am," or "I can't change," or "That's not possible for someone like me." These ideas act like invisible walls. They may feel harmless, but they control behavior. When someone believes effort won't matter, effort disappears. When someone believes improvement is possible, action begins. Life always follows belief. Philosophy determines standards, and standards determine behavior. What you tolerate becomes your normal. If your philosophy allows excuses, you will find them easily. If your philosophy demands excellence, your actions rise to meet that demand. People do not accidentally live below their potential. They accept standards that make it comfortable to do so. Raising standards is not about pressure. It is about deciding what kind of life is acceptable. One of the most powerful shifts a person can make is changing from a fixed mindset to a growth-oriented philosophy. A fixed philosophy sees failure as a signal to quit. A growth philosophy sees failure as information. The situation is the same, but the interpretation is different, and interpretation shapes outcome. When difficulties arise, philosophy answers the question, "What does this mean?" That answer determines whether you stop or continue. Philosophy also influences how long you persist. When results are slow, a weak philosophy whispers, "This isn't working." A strong philosophy says, "Stay the course." Success rarely rewards speed, it rewards consistency. Without a solid philosophy, people quit too early and mislabel patience as failure. They underestimate how long meaningful progress takes and overestimate how quickly results should appear. Another critical role of philosophy is emotional control. Your beliefs shape how you react under pressure. If your philosophy says life should be easy, every challenge feels unfair. If your philosophy accepts difficulty as part of growth, challenges feel expected. This shift reduces frustration and increases resilience. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. Philosophy also shapes responsibility. A weak philosophy externalizes blame, while a strong one internalizes control. When you believe your actions matter, you take ownership. Ownership leads to improvement. Improvement leads to confidence. Confidence leads to results. The entire chain begins with belief. Your philosophy influences who you listen to and who you ignore. Without a clear philosophy, opinions from others easily pull you off course. With one, you evaluate advice carefully. You stop adopting other people's fears and limitations as your own. You develop inner direction, which is far more powerful than external motivation. Life does not change just because circumstances improve. Circumstances often change only after thinking improves. When you upgrade your philosophy, you upgrade your expectations. When expectations rise, behavior follows. Over time, new behavior produces new outcomes. Results are not random, they are reflections of deeply held beliefs. Change the philosophy, and life must respond. Life rewards value, not need. Wanting more money, respect, or opportunity does not create results. Becoming more valuable does. Many people spend years asking for better outcomes without improving the skills, mindset, and habits that justify those outcomes. The marketplace, relationships, and life itself operate on a simple principle. Rewards are given in proportion to the value you bring. Value begins with competence. The more problems you can solve, the more useful you become. Skills are not optional extras, they are the foundation of opportunity. Whether it is communication, leadership, technical ability, or emotional intelligence, every skill you develop increases your usefulness. Useful people are rarely ignored. They are sought after. They are trusted. And trust opens doors that effort alone cannot. Becoming more valuable requires intentional learning. Learning does not end with formal education. In many ways, it begins there. Those who continue to learn continue to grow. Those who stop learning slowly become outdated. Knowledge compounds just like money. A small improvement in understanding, applied consistently, can dramatically change results over time. Reading, listening, practicing, and refining skills daily separates those who advance from those who stagnate. Value is also created through reliability. Talent may get attention, but reliability builds reputation. Showing up on time, keeping promises, and delivering consistent quality seem basic, yet they are rare. Most people underestimate how powerful dependability is. When others know they can count on you, you become valuable beyond your job description. Reliability signals professionalism, maturity, and character. Another major component of value is communication. Many capable people struggle not because they lack ability, but because they cannot express it. Clear communication builds influence. It allows ideas to travel, leadership to grow, and trust to form. Improving how you speak, listen, and write increases your impact in every area of life. Communication turns potential into visible value. Value also grows through attitude. Skill without the right attitude creates friction. A positive, solution-oriented attitude makes working with you easier. It reduces resistance and increases cooperation. People prefer to work with those who bring clarity instead of complaints. Attitude does not replace skill, but it multiplies its effect. Personal growth is the engine behind value creation. When you work on yourself, everything else improves as a result. Your thinking sharpens. Your discipline strengthens. Your confidence stabilizes. Personal growth increases your capacity to handle responsibility. With greater capacity comes greater opportunity. As value increases, rewards follow naturally. Income grows. Influence expands. Opportunities appear without being chased. This is not luck, it is alignment. Life always pays in proportion to contribution. When you focus on becoming better instead of demanding more, progress becomes inevitable. The safest and most powerful investment you can ever make is in yourself. Skills can't be taken away. Knowledge can't be stolen. Character can't be replaced. When you commit to increasing your value every day, you place yourself in a position where success is no longer a question of chance, but of time. One of the most misunderstood aspects of success is time. People often overestimate what they can achieve in a short period and underestimate what consistent effort can produce over a long one. This misunderstanding leads to frustration, impatience, and quitting too soon. Consistency and patience are not passive traits. They are active commitments to stay aligned with the process long enough for results to appear. Every meaningful result operates on a delay. Effort is always invested before rewards are visible. This delay discourages many people because the early stages of progress look no different from failure. The work is happening, but the evidence is hidden. Without patience, people misinterpret silence as a signal to stop. With patience, they understand that growth often occurs beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Consistency is the decision to show up even when enthusiasm fades. Motivation may spark action, but consistency sustains it. Daily effort, even when small, compounds over time. Just as a single drop of water seems insignificant, but can eventually shape stone, small actions repeated consistently shape outcomes. Success is rarely dramatic, it is predictable. Patience does not mean waiting without action. It means continuing to act without immediate reward. This distinction is critical. Many confuse patience with passivity, but patience in achievement is active endurance. It is the willingness to do the right things repeatedly, while trusting the process. This trust is built through understanding how progress works, not through blind optimism. Inconsistent effort creates inconsistent results. When actions are sporadic, progress resets repeatedly. Consistency creates momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. Once momentum builds, effort feels lighter, progress accelerates, and confidence grows. The hardest part is not the work itself, but staying long enough for momentum to take over. Patience also protects emotional stability. When expectations are unrealistic, every delay feels like failure. When expectations are grounded in reality, delays feel normal. Understanding that progress takes time reduces anxiety and discouragement. Emotional steadiness allows better decision making and prevents quitting in moments of doubt. Nature offers a perfect example of this principle. Seeds do not grow faster because you check on them daily. Growth follows its own rhythm. Effort determines outcome, but time determines when. Those who respect this rhythm remain steady. Those who fight it become frustrated. Success follows natural laws, not emotional demands. Consistency builds identity. Over time, repeated actions become habits, and habits become character. You stop forcing yourself to act and start acting naturally. This shift is powerful, because it reduces reliance on willpower. What once required effort becomes part of who you are. Patience strengthens faith in your own abilities. When you stay committed despite slow progress, you prove to yourself that you are capable of endurance. Endurance builds confidence far deeper than short-term wins. Anyone can feel confident when results are immediate. Few can remain confident when results are delayed. People who succeed are not those who move the fastest, but those who last the longest. They remain aligned with their goals through boredom, doubt, and delay. Over time, consistency removes randomness from results. Success stops being a matter of luck and becomes a matter of inevitability.